Hi, everybody. This is Anna Southern with the In Crowd, and I'm super excited that Ashley is joining me today. So thank you for being here. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day, doing all the wonderful things that you're doing at the Pearl. So you are the executive director at the Pearl at Watkins Center. So if everybody who knows me knows that I'm directionally challenged, but if you don't know where it is, it's right there across the street from Westchester Commons.
Yes.
Right behind is it called the Pie Building? Is that what that is? Pie?
We're across the street from St. Francis, Westchester.
Perfect. Perfect. So now you know where it is. So you're recently new to Virginia. Is
Yes.
that correct? Okay.
Yes.
So how long have you been here?
Just over a year.
Okay.
I was in the state of Florida for about 5 years before.
Oh,
And
so
I'm
it's significantly warmer right now in Florida than it is here.
incredibly so, but I'm a Kentucky girl at heart.
Okay.
So it's significantly warmer here than it typically is in Kentucky.
Okay. Awesome. How are you liking Virginia so far?
I love it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So tell us a little bit more about the Pearl at Watkins Center.
So we're an assisted living community, but we serve those that have an exclusive need for memory care.
Okay.
Capacity for 50 beds.
Okay.
I call us the big square. It's just one large interior square. So there's no doors blocking off units. Residents have the ability to really walk freely. There's engaging areas throughout the community that they may want to stop and work at or pay attention to. And we have a stunning interior courtyard. So residents have 365-day access to being outside,
Awesome.
weather permitting, of course.
Right. That's awesome. And I've been there, and you can come in and there's residents who are sitting there right in front of the fireplace. Or the other day when I was in there, there was a lady who was playing the piano,
Yes.
which I thought was absolutely beautiful. So tell us, okay, so let's talk a little bit about dementia, right? Or Alzheimer's or memory issues, right? So it's not we talked a little bit about this in the foyer earlier, but it's not a one size fits all, right? It's not, and you talked a little bit about behaviors. So share a little bit about that. So share is there a certain specialty that you guys have, or?
So our staff definitely go through specialized training.
Okay.
And they're going to do the training that's really focused on someone who has that cognition deficit.
Okay.
A lot of our staff are certified dementia practitioners, so that's just an additional layer of education to really help hone in on skills and taking a hands-on approach to being at a resident side, providing that individualized care. And that's something we do at the Pearl is we are individualized by every resident because we recognize that it's not one size fits all. And we do, a thorough assessment. When I say head to toe, we have salon and spa services and we have podiatry services. Okay. So we're trying to encompass each resident as one entity themselves. And there's so many different types of dementia that someone can have. And you said the word behaviors, and I have this conversation with families so frequently that I really feel like a behavior is simply an unmet need. Mm-hmm. Is it tweaking a medication? Is it maybe we served a food that the resident found less appealing and they're just hungry? And when you don't have that quick recall of being able to say what your need is, sometimes it manifests as those changes in personality, right, that so many people perceive as a behavioral issue. And collectively in 25 years of service to this industry, what I've found is we're so quick to say someone has a behavior, let's just add a medication. Mm-hmm. And what I feel like we do so differently for residents is when we're looking at them as a whole, it's not about medication. It really is about that unmet need first. And, if someone needs that medication, we're going to make sure that they have attentive physician services to get that prescription for the medication. But I don't ever just want to see someone and say, well, let's just give them medicine. It will make it all better, because 99% of the time it does not change.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so when we were talking about that, it made me think of like when my kids were little, like when they had a behavior or they did something that was outside of their norm. Our first instinct when they're little is are they hungry? does their diaper need to be changed? Are they too cold? Are they too hot? Or whatever the case may be. So why we don't think of that on the other end of the spectrum is we should, right? We
Right.
should definitely do those. So you talked a little bit, so you've done some pretty amazing things, right? Have helped. So from just a very brief conversation, I can tell how much you care. This is not just a job for you, right? It's not just a 9 to 5, let me go in, let me do my job and go home. You truly care about your residents that are at Watkins Center. So
I do, and I say that I've been in this industry for 25 years, and I think being in this industry for 25 years has aged me probably a lot harder than what nature meant to. I'm 42 years old, so
Okay.
when I say I've done this for 25 years, I started as a candy striper or valet volunteer calling bingo numbers. Before I graduated high school, I was a certified nursing assistant. When I graduated high school, I worked as a CNA to become a nurse.
Okay.
And I've just progressed my career over the years. And I took a brief 2-year hiatus from senior living, and I hated myself for it. I just, there's such a sense of fulfillment. You know, before I came here today, I was with a resident and family, and we spend so much time with our residents that they really are my family.
Right.
And so many impressionable moments in my life, I think. You know, we try so hard to tell caregivers or people new to this industry that don't call them mom or grandma or grandpa, because it can be very confusing. And I have to say, in 25 years, I feel like the most blessed human being, because I've had probably 200 nanas or grandmas or grandpas, but some of the most profound people in my life have been people that families have trusted me to
Right.
take care of, you know, as they approach this celestial homegoing where it's their most frail time. And for me, it's such an honor. I tell families all the time, you know, my personal cell phone number is printed on my business card. And I do that because you're trusting me with your most favorite human being
Right.
in the world. And I want families to know that at 2 a.m., if they're concerned and they can't sleep, you can call me. The only time I'm ever mad is when they are afraid to call me,
Gotcha.
not when they do call me. So that's the blessing for me, is truly just being able to make a small difference. And what we were talking about before we came in here, it's the antithesis of why I do what I do. Is if it's for one moment that I get to change a resident's lives, I hope they realize they've changed mine forever.
That's beautiful.
And so, and it's so sincere. I mean, like I said, I took a 2-year hiatus, and it was like, it was not soul filling. I wasn't spiritually fulfilled. And this is something that I feel so connected with, that I hate to say it's a passion, but it just is.
Yeah.
It really is.
Well, I feel like it is. I feel like nursing, teaching, like you definitely have to have a passion, because it's not a walk in the park,
No.
right? You do become very connected to these individuals. And like you said, they become your nanas and your papas and your, you know, aunts and uncles and all that kind of stuff. So share with our listeners a little bit about, because it can be a very difficult decision. I'm assuming, I mean, my parents are getting older, and my in-laws are getting older. You know, and sometimes we try to take care of them ourselves and then realize I'm inequipped to handle whatever it is. So how does somebody even begin that conversation, or how do they realize that, hey, maybe I'm not able to do this anymore? Because that's a very difficult decision, right? You're like, they just didn't do it. Like when when my parents were younger, like you just didn't put your mother into a home, which is not what this is, but that's the sort of the blanket. I'm just going to put them into a home and somebody else is going to take care of them.
It really is. And I think so much, especially for this generation and the baby boomer generation, is they feel like, oh, we're just putting them in this home.
Right.
And we have this terrible perception of what the home is. And so for me, I think the biggest piece of advice is to educate yourself. Just call, right? Calling someone and saying, can I take a tour? Just let me see. Let me, I want to come in and see what the building looks like. I want to see the food. I want to see the people. That's the best thing that I can tell people to do is, but there's no commitment in that. There's no commitment in just saying, I just need to know what options are out there. And asking the tough questions to communities when you go in, do you have agency that are working in your building? Is it contract labor field? Because of course, through COVID, I've worked through all of it. You find a little bit of a different perception there than people who are stable employees who are really locked in and committed to that community. What are the turnover rate for employees?
Mm-hmm.
Are they happy employees that you do have there? Right. What kind of longevity are we looking at? The training of employees. And then really going into an apartment and saying, okay, so can we bring the dog? Can we bring the cat? Are we allowed to stay all night? Are we, what other services do you use? Because like I said, when we're talking head to toe, we have therapy that comes in our building 5 days a week who are there. We have hospice services that come in our building 7 days a week who are there. And so it's really, I think just having those conversations, and that's the most difficult step, I feel like, is taking the first step and making a call. It's not a sales pitch. It's not who's got the most clever verbiage to get you into the door. You need to be somewhere that feels like home. Yeah. And not just for your loved one, but that peace of mind comes when you feel at home. Right. When, you go in and someone addresses you by your first name, and you do have that familial connection with people, that's how you know you're making the right choice. Right.
Absolutely. So what's and I think you touched on this a little bit, but what's a myth that is in your industry? Do you think that's pretty prevalent out there that you want to share with individuals?
I think even just like you said, putting them in a home, we want our residents to have individuality. Okay. There's, you don't go in and you fear, I say celestial home going. You don't walk in our community and feel this sense of doom and gloom. We're a very vibrant community. Mm-hmm. Yesterday we had Wine Down Wednesday. We had chocolate covered strawberries. Nice. Our dietary department does charcuterie boards for Wine Down Wednesday.
Anybody want to come with me to go visit?
Don't come on Wine Down Wednesday. It's alcohol-free wine. Okay. But we're still taking residents on outings. I don't feel like dementia is a all-encompassing diagnosis of this is just the end of someone's life. This has to mean that everything just kind of stops. Right. Today we're at the Museum of Fine Art with our residents. And so life continues. Right. It just continues differently. Right. And so I think that's the one thing that, like, if I really had to stand on the mountaintop and shout it to people, is that dementia does not define who someone is. We can have other illnesses if we've been diagnosed with dementia. It's not something that defines healthcare or defines someone's ability to still make decisions, because our residents still make decisions every day. Okay. For meals, we present plate options. Oh, okay. And so we want them to have options. If they don't like those 2 plates that are presented, we have always available foods that, a hamburger or chicken tenders, salads. So it's not a skilled place where people are just admitted and we kind of, I've heard the term herd them like cattle. We're not putting everybody in a wheelchair over here and someone that needs assistance being fed on this side of it. We're all together. When we truly live by the motto of, when it comes to your loved one, everything matters. Okay. Because it does.
Okay. So you mentioned earlier that you have a resident who now their wife has joined them. Yes. So does that happen often, where you'll have one resident and then the spouse joins?
So frequently, no.
Okay.
But as that progression, and families will even come to us and say, would you pay attention to my mom or my dad when they come in to visit the other parent?
Okay.
I think I'm starting to see some things at home that I'm concerned about. And even when families don't call, we do pay attention to that
Right.
because we notice that decline. And the reality is, if someone's spouse is coming to visit and they're 86, 87, 90 years old, we're going to start to things. Definitely, if the place where they're okay with that, we want to have that conversation because it was such a beautiful, seamless transition for this family. The family recognized there was an issue. We recognized there was an issue. And it was such a difficult conversation with the initial resident. So when we had the conversation with the spouse and their child was present, it was so easy. It was just like, yes, I want to be here with my loved one. I want to be here with my spouse. I am ready to make this move. And even though there was that deficit, there was still excitement. And the heartache comes with the territory.
Right. Yeah.
But the beauty comes when you see them together every single day and they're holding hands and they're enjoying being married again.
Right. Yeah.
And it's in the most gentle, sincere of ways.
That's amazing. So does the spouse have to have memory issues as well in order to be at your facility? So if they're just declining in health,
Right.
they can't join or come to be a resident.
Right. So it is definitely based on,
Okay.
excuse me, that physician's assessment that says, there is cognitive impairment issues, a diagnosis of dementia.
Okay.
That's going to be a mandatory kind of diagnosis for them.
I think that's a good clarification because I'm sure you probably get that question a lot.
We do.
Yes.
We do. We've had sisters together.
Oh.
We've had mothers-in-law together.
Okay.
And that saves the family a little bit financially as well. Okay. And we encourage that if it's scary for everybody and they don't want to make that disconnect in someone's lives, we really want to help. That's what we're here to do, is just you let us know what your needs are, and we're going to do our absolute best to make sure that we can meet those needs. And we're a resource for people. So if we can't, we're going to tell you who will, and we're okay with that.
Yeah. And I love that. And so you guys are one of my sponsors and you're one of my expert contributors. And that's one of the things that I really want to be able to provide that education to all of our readers, because I think it's super important. This is what I'm assuming could happen, right? You are starting to see your loved one decline and you're seeing it. You don't want to talk about it because that then makes it more real, right? But for you to be able to read some information and disseminate it at home without the eyes of, like you said, sometimes taking that first step of calling and saying, hey, can I just come visit? That's terrifying. It can be terrifying, I'm assuming. So to read this information and then be able to disseminate it at home in the privacy of their own home, and then be able to feel maybe a little bit more educated, when they come in and they have that conversation. So I appreciate that you guys are doing that. And I love what you're doing with the people who come in and say, hey, let me just take a look. Right. And your facility is absolutely beautiful. Like I said, I mean, the foyer itself is very inviting. And so it doesn't feel clinical, because I've been in those places where it feels I used to teach at a facility in Virginia Beach. And that was also very lovely, but I had been in several others that just felt very clinical, right? That just, this is the last stop on the train.
Right.
That type of thing, right? And sort of this, and like you said, you guys make it that where they're still living their life.
Yes.
Right? They're not stopping that, and you're helping support that as much as you possibly can in the end. So you said you have 50 beds?
Yes.
Okay. So 50 beds is that just 50 individuals, or if like a husband and wife, would that be considered two
So
beds?
50.
I know it sounds like a really silly question, but.
No,
I'm just
not
curious.
not at all, because we have 48 apartments,
Oh, okay.
but the ability to sleep and house 50 residents. So
Gotcha. Okay,
there's 2 shared rooms, but we have like larger suites
okay,
that those have been converted to. We have some residents who want 2 twin beds in there.
okay.
Some want a king size bed in there and want to sleep to, occupants to a bed. So we're able to do that with those larger suites that we have available.
Okay, perfect. So tell people how they can reach you.
Absolutely feel free to reach out. I am, like I said, I'm available 24 hours a day. Our telephone number is 804-893-0067. Email is ashley.beckett@phoenixsrliving.com. And I'm happy to give my personal cell phone number. I'm open to it. Call or text anytime, 606-471-9194.
Perfect. Like I said, they're located right there across the street from Westchester Commons, so super easy to access.
Yes.
And like I said, just a beautiful facility. So thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule but I just want people to know that there's resources here and places that care about our community and our aging community. So I appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys for watching, and until we see each other next time, stay fluid, my friends. I'm always cheering for you.